So this is what norms and ostracism. Let's look at some legal aspects of this. That's what I want to move my attention to. There are many substances in our society that we can look at legal versus illegal with. Let's take one that many, many people use, not everyone though, beer. And for the sake of discussion, we'll just talk about Blue Moon. So it's sort of weird when you set this lecture up, you're like, what do I use to illustrate beer? What's my favorite beer?
You can tell some of the orange one.
Except for I serve it with orange juice. We call it, my friends and I call it beer juice. Sweet, they can talk about beer juice. You made me. Yes, when it's served in a restaurant, they put an orange in it. But let's just say one evening I was tired, and I'm sitting there and I'm like,
my two favorite drinks.
right, yeah. No, I was just trying to figure out, I was like, gosh, I don't want to cut up an orange, or didn't feel like I could safely do so. And I remember going, orange juice has orange, orange juice is what's in oranges.
Really? Is that how much credit thought was?
Yeah, I was like, And so I put like 3 or 4 ounces of orange juice, then I fill it up, and we call it beer juice. So now you know how to make beer juice. Right? But is alcohol a safe drink? No, it is not. Give you some data on alcohol. It causes about 200,000 deaths in America alone every year. Alcohol is a dangerous drink. I have certainly drank my share, and I don't think that's revealing any news to anyone who's ever had a class with me. But it causes lots of problems. People miss work, health problems, fights. That's what we mean by social disruption. Who knows how many pregnancies caused by this? Relationships get ruined. Right? You say something to one of your friends, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. It's a very dangerous one. But our society not only is so okay with alcohol, we publicly let people know how drunk they are. We develop charts. There we go, Blue Moon again. We develop charts for people to figure out how much poison they have in their body. We go, okay, think of a 10-ounce drink, right? Which no one thinks of a 10-ounce drink. Because drinks either come in 12, 16, or 40, or a gallon. Right? So this chart here is based on 10-ounce drinks. I don't know why it's done that way. But we go, okay, figure out your real body weight, not your driver's license weight, your actual weight. And then we say, okay, you also will burn up a certain amount of alcohol during you sit there. You won't burn it up if you take a shower or drink coffee. So we can go, okay, let's imagine here's one drink, so it's a pint, so it's a little over 1. So notice I've kind of cheated and put it there. And you can go down and go, well, I've had 2 pints. And notice you've had actually 3 drinks if you have 2 pints. Actually 3 drinks and some small change. But we're going to assume you spilt a little. Do you like my beer mugs that I found for this little barium and beryllium, I think, is the 2? No? Beryllium? So you can go, okay, well, I know I want to stay under 0.08, right? So you can actually go, and I suggest doing this when you're sober. You can figure out where you would be on this little chart and how to be safe so that you can live to party the next day, right?
But that is such a subjective, I'm sorry, but that is so wrong, because if you have any tolerance, or if you don't have tolerance, or if you've used it with another substance, I don't know
You're absolutely
what
correct.
those other substances are. So I can't stand that, because, that is so...
Okay, you're going to have to tweak your little, you're absolutely right, you're going to have to tweak. And it's also, from, we know from other stuff that's going to depend on, how often you drank at the same place, and you're right, what you've eaten. So there's a lot of variables, but this is a place to get started. How about this? It's a place to get started,
Because, you may have someone that is a chronic alcoholic that will walk in with a .30. And just be totally sober, and it's been safe.
I don't know if they're going to be totally sober.
Not that they're walking and talking,
Oh. But not remembering it.
Probably functional alcohols.
Here we go. Can we just say this is a way to get you at least started thinking about how to drink safely? Is that be fair? Like, if let's say today's your first day, and today, like, woohoo, I finally decided to start drinking. The fact that we can even do this, though, is really sort of more, that we allow this. We're like, okay, how many beers? We don't have these for other substances, right? That's all I'm trying to get at. You're absolutely right, though. If you've been drinking a while and, you've been practicing. You know, well. All right, so think about cigarettes though. Another legal substance. Cigarettes are highly addictive, responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths a year. Any chance they're going to be declared illegal anytime soon? Nope, not at all. We look at this and we go, okay, cigarettes and tobacco kill hundreds of thousands of people, cause who knows how much damage. We're like, okay, legal. What other substance? Can we just go
Crack
there?
cocaine.
That's where we all want to go.
I don't know if that's where you all want to go.
That's where he's going,
The
right?
majority of us.
He's going to crack.
Majority.
I don't know if the vast majority of you want to go to marijuana. I guess we can
Puffy
quit,
paint.
y'all. No. But you're absolutely right. There's no danger of overdosing on marijuana. You would have to smoke, what, about 700 pounds in one sitting? You know, you can give it a good fair shot. What was it? Someone said in the other class?
Yeah, I think it's 538.
538, really gonna be more precise, you know?
I
We
don't
have a
remember
competition
words,
here.
though.
Right, and yet, what is it? What is the status of marijuana in our society?
It's illegal.
It's illegal. It's absolutely illegal. The first time before I actually first gave this lecture, I went and spoke to a lawyer for an hour and a half, going, "Can I give this lecture?" Because I was that concerned. It's also the #1 cash crop in the U.S.
Yes.
But our society, I was a little happy about that.
And do you know how smart the U.S. is? The DEA goes around and sprays highly toxic chemicals on it because they think that people aren't going to sell. Oh, no. So then, I mean, don't even get me started. So,
Would that be one of the other substances you were speaking of?
because look, well, now it is legal in
A couple of states.
Colorado. 7.
Couple states.
Colorado and Washington.
Oregon,
But-
it's still illegal.
But it's still federal. It's still federal.
We just Colorado and Washington.
Now this is what's intriguing, and this is actually what I'm trying to get to, is people have done research on the overall dangerousness of drugs. And any rational drug policy would say, well, our society has accepted a certain amount of risk, let's accept less than that. This is what's intriguing though. The classes here are British classes, not American classes, but there's a nice similarity. A means completely legal, no benefit whatsoever. B means regulated, and C means regulated less. But you sort
I'm
of go,
surprised they got cat right there. That's awesome.
awesome, okay, you know, everyone find their drug of choice. And,
It's like-
I'm amazing. They're like starting to notice like
LSD, cannabis. But notice where cannabis falls on this chart. But honestly, there's a generational divide in this issue.
And there will always be a divide, no matter.
Not when
Somebody's gonna die.
what? Somebody's gonna. Y'all are so sweet.
We have barbiturates up there which are prescribed,
Oh yeah, I mean,
so.
But-
no.
actually, prescription drug deaths. I don't want to give the
That
actual.
is huge.
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem in the hundreds of thousands. At least 100,000. I would say hundreds of thousands. At least 100,000.
Why
Prescription
why can you get
Yeah.
GHB?
What?
Why would you be able to legally get GHB?
I check why you legally get GHB. Yes, the rape drug, date rape drug.
Yeah, so
It was.
They use it in surgeries.
Do they? Okay.
And yeah, it was, I mean, like ecstasy was, started out as for depression, and then they found out, I mean, like a lot of the drugs that are made actually started, with the.
I went to the school at my undergrad. The guy who invented ecstasy went to my school. Sweet. That's true. I called him and he was like, I didn't know at the time who he was, and he was like, yeah, I invented ecstasy. I was like, really? Turned out he had. Here's what's interesting though. Our culture has a preference for strong legal sanctions, and we are incarcerating people at a rate far, far above the rest of the globe.
Yep.
In fact, we're even making our laws even stricter. In case you're curious too, one of the things to ask is it worth keeping someone in jail $25,000 a year for what? This is the questions we need to really ask, and because our culture, we are the world's leading jailer. Right? We beat every other country. So a good legitimate question is, why do we prefer jail to everything else?
The
jail industry people.
Yeah,
That is
privatized
it. So
prisons.
think about their incentive. It's actually really disturbing. If you read the private prisons reports, they actually push for stricter laws because it makes them more money.
Yeah.
And
More
they go
prisoners they
against
have.
death penalty.
Because it would keep people in jail for longer. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'll give you another free documentary. If you want a really good documentary, and I don't mind going on record with this one.
Seriously, it's good. It's
That
very,
is so good.
very intellectual, very knowledgeable. I mean, even if you don't agree with it, it's still nice to have that knowledge behind it.
Yeah, it is very nice. It really is nice and balanced. And they're really looking at the incentive structure of, because what's behind a lot of this increase in jail? Marijuana. We're arresting people at a much too high rate for this. Especially when
Destroying their lives.
People are catching felonies.
there's a lot of incentive structure though behind, because if you really want to go, war on drugs is really testing for what? Right? Think about the incentive structure though. I'm not encouraging one to do cocaine. But if you did cocaine, it would clear your system pretty quickly. Well, marijuana won't. So then you think about the drug testing companies, what are they testing for? What's their incentive structure? This is so when we're looking at incentive structures, and we're going to continue this on Friday, we're also going to immediately create deviants, people who violate the incentive structure. What do you guys about this first part about our culture? Seriously, if y'all want to do an extra credit on why our culture prefers prison and jail, think about there are so many other ways to punish people. Ankle bracelets, community service, house arrest.
What's his question? He's questioning the actual punishments though.
I think we should question these punishments. I think we should question why this is illegal when we have tobacco and alcohol who are causing deaths. Now, marijuana is a drug. I don't mean to pretend that marijuana is safe. People do stupid shit when they're stoned too. It's a drug. I read this week, some guy was driving down the road in one of the states where it's illegal, and he's like lighting his bowl while driving with his sneeze. And you're like, dude, that's just dumb. Dumb, it's a drug. But why do you think we prefer imprisonment? So you're right, the private prisons encourage it, but one day.
It was 3%.
All right, I was asked if I could ask one more question. I know I want to get y'all going. I was asked, so I guess what we can think of a good quick question to ask real fast that relates to today.
Marijuana be legalized.
You know, why not? It's only going to go around the globe. What y'all think about this one? Should marijuana be legalized and treated like alcohol and tobacco? A, yes. B, no. Clock's actually a couple minutes fast. I'm not actually over. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Y'all are not interested in y'all's results. This is Jolly. I'll see you on Friday.